And I showed you the Heisman odds a week or two ago, and they had Garrett Nussmeier as the second favorite behind Manning. So Brian Kelly's very excited to have Garrett back at school.
He is no athlete, in my opinion. You can quote me on that. Like, he is a clumsy white dude, and he sucked. I'm being nice now. Now all of a sudden you're talking about him being great? Oh, slow down there, Coach.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
Devin Booker, do you know, in those 2 years, actually makes more in his salary than the entire Miami Marlins payroll this year, which I think is at like $62 million. That's a 72.5. I'm just doing the math really quickly. So one guy's worth more than 25, but we know how bad the Miami Marlins is. But hey, I just talk hoops.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
No superstar wants to go to Portland there, so you go, oh, well, Dame actually wants to be back here, and this is going to hurt us. It sort of brings back those vibes where Kobe Bryant was in L.A. Great basketball player, horrendous basketball team, but maybe he could sell a couple extra seats and be a star in the building. That's Dame. And also from a perspective of what Dame wants, Dame just doesn't care about championships, and that's okay. Like, he makes a lot of money. He can do that and continue to lose in Portland. Can have it both ways, I guess.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Really would love to know what Jawan Jennings is after. If I were San Francisco, I'd hate to lose him. Not that I think he's ever going to be their best receiver on this football team, but you have a lot of question marks, right? We don't know how good Ricky Pearsall is yet.
We are asking, like, if Ayuk comes back and is healthy, if McCaffrey can be healthy, all these things. So why not just take the thing that you know works and just keep it?
Game time decisions, only on Sport.
Welcome to hour number 3, our third and final on this first day of a new week. It is a Monday on the Early Line. He is Donnie. I am Ben. Plenty to dive into here in our third and final hour. We will preview basically every game on this Monday slate around Major League Baseball as the second half, but really 60-plus games left for all clubs around MLB continues on this Monday around the Major League Diamond. We are also approaching DRS a week from Thursday, not just the Hall of Fame game, as we'll continue our football conversations, bless you or excuse you, whatever that was, but also trade deadline as well, DRS, in MLB a week from Thursday as well. So a preview of the slate. Tom Vecchio will join us a little bit later on for his prop perspective, getting us ready for a football season as well. And Donnie, we've talked top 10 quarterbacks. How about a top 10 wide receiver list to start off this third and final hour?
Yeah, look, there's nobody that likes to grade wide receivers more than myself, because not only does your play have to get factored in, it's the swag potential, how you look in your uniform number, how you conduct yourself on that field. It all matters in, and it all factors in. But talking wide receivers before we get to camp, that's how you know football season is about to get underway. Forget the quarterbacks, forget the running backs, forget the pass rushers, the cornerbacks. Give me the wide receivers. Let them shine.
And again, by the end of tomorrow, 30 of our 32 NFL teams will have reported to training camp. It is a football month. DRS, the top 10 QB list made the headlines. Top 10 edge rushers, linebackers. All of this was reported to ESPN in the anonymous surveys from coaches and execs and scouts. The other one that caused some social media or online buzz was the list of the top 10 wide receivers in the NFL. Number 1, the Triple Crown winner from last year, Jamar Chase. Number 2, Justin Jefferson. Number 3, Tyreek Hill. Number 4, CeeDee Lamb. Number 5, A.J. Brown. Number 6, Amon-Ra St. Brown. Number 7, Malik Neighbors after a sensational rookie year. Number 8, Nico Collins. Number 9, Mike Evans. Number 10, Garrett Wilson. Some people had some issue with how that shook out. DRS, before I get to your assessment on that top 10 list, let's hear from the people. We'll put all of our reaction into one. Who's the best wide receiver in the National Football League? That was the question to you in Fade the Public. at SportsGrid on Twitter, who is the best wide receiver in the NFL. We included the top 3, and then if you did not have one of those 3 as your best, we asked for another with a reply. So DRS, it really came down to a 2-guy race, 2 guys that played college football together and won national championships, catching passes from Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, and Justin Jefferson. At SportsGrid on Twitter, who is the best wideout in the NFL. Most of the public, nearly 51% of the public, saying Justin Jefferson, beating out his former Bayou Bengal teammate by 10 percentage points. Jamar Chase, just over 40%. Tyreek Hill, not a ton of consideration. Other did get some, including somebody vouching for A.J. Brown, and then somebody else, I don't even know what that other one is. But DRS, most of the public saying Justin Jefferson as the best receiver in the NFL. What about you?
It's a tough question. And again, the question is simple. So, well, Donnie, why would it be tough? You got to hear me out on this. The best wide receiver in the NFL, it is Justin Jefferson. But in order to be a great wide receiver, you need a really good quarterback. Like Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow makes Jamar Chase a better wide receiver than Justin Jefferson on himself. Because if you said, well, Darnold's coming back, he could force feed the football to Jefferson, okay, you know what? That's a pretty good argument. But we have a rookie for all defensive purposes here coming back. Now, granted, J.J. McCarthy was in the NFL this year, didn't play because he was injured. He's been around the system. But that's a knock. But I do think that the people got this right. 50% of the votes coming in on Justin Jefferson because I do think he's the best wide receiver, and that was the question. But not all things are equal. Like, in order to be a great wide receiver and put up those statistics that we expect for Justin Jefferson, it's hard to say, look, he's going to get a rookie that didn't throw the football a lot in college when Joe Burrow is throwing Jamar Chase the football with a horrendous defense. So I do agree with the premise of the question being Justin Jefferson, but I actually voted Jamar Chase because my expectations are the best wide receiver in the NFL is a statistical win at the end of the season. If you ask me who's going to have more catches, more touchdowns, and more yards, it's Jamar Chase, which should then say, look, well, then he's the best wide receiver in football. No, that's not the case because, again, not all things are equal here. Jamar Chase has an unbelievable advantage over Justin Jefferson just with the quarterback.
Yeah, so DRS, I think it's really funny, right? We stressed what was the criteria these coaches, execs, and scouts used. We try to deliver our own criteria for our own lists and where we disagreed or agreed with the list we saw earlier. The idea of team success and performance in the most significant of stages is not necessarily something we do with any position in football outside of the QB. To me, it's 1 and 2. Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase. I give the edge to Jefferson. But to me, those 2 guys have a distinct advantage in front of everybody else. I really don't have much issue with this top 10 list. Do I think Malik Neighbors should be there after 1 year? I'm not so sure. Do I think Nico Collins should be top 10?
The list is small.
I'm not so sure. I do think Garrett Wilson deserves to be there. Where the heck is Puka Nacua? Could you include Devontae Adams despite being a vet in that conversation as well? If you want to talk about consistent performance despite some mediocre quarterback play prior to last season and what we expect moving forward, once a contract extension is signed, Terry McLaurin might want to be involved in this conversation as well. But for me, it is Justin Jefferson, DRS. Every fully healthy year, for the 5 years that J-Jet has been in the NFL, he's had at least 1,400 receiving yards. He is the current career leader in NFL history in yards per game at 96.5. He led the NFL in 2022 and gave a thrill to the Calvin Johnson record of 1,809 receiving yards. That's what J-Jet put up in 2022, the 6th most we have seen in a season all time. Jamar Chase, though, coming off a feat that not many have accomplished, a Triple Crown winner last year. That is leading the NFL in receptions, yards, and receiving touchdowns. 127, 1,708 yards, and 17 touchdowns last year. To me, DRS, it's 1-2. You want to put Jamar Chase? I'm not going to pound my fist into the table and call you a doofus. I would have Justin Jefferson slightly edging out Jamar Chase atop the list.
And by the way, again, we love lists because it's just one person's list or opinions here that, hey, I'm going to take some feedback. But Malik Neighbors gets a lot of respect at 7. I'll go Brian Thomas Jr. over Malik Neighbors. I'm just being honest. You talk about some LSU barn burners. There you go. And Puka Nacua, Mike Evans is a really good wide receiver. It's 1,000 every year. But are we looking at Mike Evans 6 years ago compared to what we're getting out of Mike Evans now as a top 10? That's not correct. I'd take Puka Nacua any day of the week over Mike Evans, and most people should. I love Mike Evans. Mike Evans going to the Hall of Fame. But I'm not taking Mike Evans 9th over Puka Nacua and or Brian Thomas Jr. Sorry, not going to do that. Garrett Wilson getting respect for what reason? He's in the top 10. Give me Brian Thomas Jr. above Garrett Wilson as well.
Oh, I like Garrett Wilson up there. But listen, that's part of the disagreements that we have. DRS, if I asked you yesterday, who is going to start week number 1 for the Tennessee Titans, Cam Ward or Will Levis, what would you have said?
It's Cam. It's not even close. It's not. There's no race. We're not lining up to a starting line. Yeah. If that can I get any more detailed than that? There's no race. One guy is automatically has the bye week on to being the starting quarterback. Yes, Cam Ward. Cam Ward, from the time February came around at the draft combine, was going to be the week 1 starter for the Tennessee Titans in 2025. We shared the breaking news about Will Levis, and he is out for this year, undergoing shoulder surgery. There was this follow-up report tweet from ESPN's Adam Schefter. With Will Levis out for the year, number 1 overall pick, Cam Ward is now poised to become the Titans' starting quarterback, despite the team is not named its Dov
starter.
Kleiman's account. Adam Schefter via Dov Kleiman. My goodness.
Do you think that there's a possibility that we could be looking at DeBoer wondering if he's the long-term answer at coach for the Tide?
I'm starting to feel like Alabama, I can't believe I'm saying this, Craig, is a sleeper. 4th easiest schedule in the SEC this year. Ryan Williams is back. I think the friendly, these early season games against Florida State and Wisconsin, that is friendly for Alabama.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Sick and tired of seeing tennis players fall to the ground in disbelief, they captured the Rubik's Cube here. It's take it easy. You won 6-love, 6-2, 6-3. I mean, it's not like it's dramatic. I did that now, did today, but I'm saying, I see that guys do that all the time, and women do that. It's relax. You won in straight sets. It was a foregone conclusion an hour ago. Stop pretending like it was a dramatic victory.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
You are going to bank on Luka Doncic, who is a phenomenal talent, but his defense has been questioned, his work ethic, his time has been questioned, and his conditioning has been questioned. Name me one time in his 23-year career that you've questioned one of those 3 things about LeBron James.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
Everybody also is going to know the name Yuri Perez next year because Yuri Perez, obviously in fantasy circles, is a guy that we've been excited about for a while. Burst onto the scene a couple years ago, was electric, was fantastic. Then Tommy John, and we've been waiting for him ever since. And, all of a sudden the last couple starts starting to look like the Yuri Perez that I know I was very excited about drafting going into this season. And he has been brilliant.
Fantasy Sports Today, only on SportsGrid.
Live right here on this Monday on the early line on SportsGrid. It is a full slate Monday around Major League Baseball. And I promise we will preview those games, including some critical contests, a divisional duel between the Blue Jays and the Yankees as they battle for the top spot in the American League East, the National League Cy Young race before our very eyes. Paul Skeens on the bump at home against the Detroit Tigers. Zach Wheeler on the bump at home against the Boston Red Sox as well. DRS, we almost, by just one day, had Tarek Skubal and Paul Skeens starting against one another in a regular season game after the All-Star game 6 days prior. Again, we will get to Major League Baseball in just a moment. Joe Frizo, are we ready for DRS to play Fashion Police? Okay, we're almost going to get there. The Steelers, DRS, announced on this Monday, 2 days before they show up to training camp in Latrobe, their 1933 throwback jerseys, which they'll wear on Sunday Night Football against the Green Bay Packers on October 26th. Again, anytime you do a throwback jersey in today's current climate, it's going to look a little bit odd with the modern apparel, with what we had from 1933. Here it is, as displayed, as I believe, on Pat Freiermuth, if I am not mistaken. There is the 1933 throwback uniform again. The Steelers will wear on Sunday Night Football against the Green Bay Packers, October 26th. Do not forget, Aaron Rodgers will more than likely be wearing that throwback jersey, facing off against his former team in the Pack for the first time in his NFL career. Fashion Police, Mr. Rightside. What do you make of the Steelers throwback uniform?
There's terms I like to use. The throwback jersey, which means we're going to throw back to a time where this jersey was amazing and the fans would love to see it again. And then there's what they call the Pittsburgh Steelers, the throwaway jersey. No idea why we're bringing this back. Looks absolutely horrendous, and there's no reason. Now, here's the best part about it. Maybe the Steelers knew, because I always know organizations to be calculated. They're like, hey, you know what? It's a downtime last week in sports. Everybody's going to release their preseason throwbacks for the season. Banger after banger after banger came out, and the Steelers go, oh, my goodness. Like, if we put this out this week, like, people are going to laugh at us how bad these are. So let's wait till it dies down and sports gets up, almost like a Friday news dump on a Monday morning, if that makes sense. Hideous uniforms here. Like, can't you just throw it back to the Terry Bradshaw, like 1970s type uniforms that we're used to on the Pittsburgh Steelers, which the San Francisco 49ers do sometimes, like those Jerry Rice jerseys of like the late 1980s, early 1990s. Like, those are the ones you love to see. It doesn't have to go back to 1933. But these uniforms are disgraceful, they're ugly, and there's no point of reference where people see like, oh, yeah, that's the Steelers that I grew up with. Nobody grew up with that, and there's a reason why those jerseys went away a long time ago. They should put, Ben, you know what? The jersey set right there should have a grave and a tombstone that's buried in the ground that says, here these lied in 1930, and they died in 1930, never to be brought back up. Horrendous. And by the way, the fact that you looked at this uniform, Ben, are like, I don't even know if that's Pratt Freiermuth at this point, which I can't even say. That's how bad the jerseys are. We can't even say the player's name or understand who it is because of how bad that jersey is.
To me, it looks like what the team in The Dark Knight Rises wore as they returned the opening kickoff for a touchdown before the stadium was, well, let's just call it what it was, bombed by Bane. Right? That's what it looks like. To me, at the very least. We have seen the Steelers wear the Bumblebees before. That has been contentious. Well, the Packers, in response, where they're like 1920s or 30s throwbacks for the Acme Packers.
Horrendous.
You hate those.
But hold on. Let's get something straight on this, too. Let's get something straight on this. The fact that we had to see all those years with that idiot coach Mike McCarthy back in the day wearing the Acme Packers, like skull cap, ski cap here, one of the worst uniforms. Nobody remembers the Packers as the Acme Packers. Call them the Packers. The Acme Packers? Like, don't even get me started, because if they wear those two mustard green, pea-stained uniforms against each other, they'll deserve each other. Two of the worst uniforms ever to make a comeback. Like, nobody. Oh, I love the Packers with the Acme Packers uniform. Horrendous look. Remember the Philadelphia Eagles came up opening day with the Minneapolis Lakers uniform? That ought to have been tarred and feathered and just sent into a grave itself as well. Leave those stupid uniforms. You should be able to throw back before what, like 1960? Like, just leave those uniforms dead and buried back in the day. Because they could, first of all, they couldn't even afford materials. They probably just made things and piecemealed them together. Like, get out here and here's your jersey. It's not cool. It looks terrible. Like a burlap sack.
The things that really get a rise out of my co-host are the best things in the world. All right, can we talk MLB now?
No, we'll get to Major League Baseball. I got one more thing. Jeremy Fowler put out a tweet here, which I want to go on. No, listen to this. Listen to this. If you are a player in the NFL, Ben, let me ask you this question. When are you allowed to retire? Like, when are you allowed to? Let me just ask you that question. You're an NFL player. What does retirement mean? Like, go ahead. Like, explain to me, and then I'll tell you why I'm giving you this information on this tweet.
Like, when in the time of the year, or like how long into my NFL career?
Correct. Like, is it acceptable? Like, Lane Johnson comes out today and is like, you know what? I'm going to retire as a Philadelphia Eagle. I just can't go anymore. Would you accept that as a retirement from the NFL?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. That's when to set it up. Well, now we have free agent defensive tackle Khalil Davis has decided to retire per his agent as a tweet. Is that a retirement where nobody wants you? Like, and you just retired? Like, could I go out and say, you know, I always wanted to be an NFL player and announce my retirement today? Because you can't retire if nobody wants you, right? I'm retiring from a 25-year police officer. It's like, I got my 25th year, I'm retiring. Yes, you are. But, like, if you were never a police officer, you can't retire as a police officer if nobody wanted you at that point. Hey, I got fired. Yeah, I'm just going to retire as a police officer now. That's not retirement, is it? Retirement is when you willingly give up your right to work because you had a job, then you're going to retire. If you don't have a job, how do you retire?
Khalil Davis, great Nebraska Cornhusker. Let me just say that right here. I do hear the point, though, DRS. If you are a free agent and not even like a 38-year-old free agent, that now it's just the end of your tenure, does it feel like a retirement, or just that nobody really wanted you out there? We're not retiring to Major League Baseball.
Baseball.
Online casino expansion in the U.S. is extremely slow, a lot slower than I think we all would have thought, 5 years ago as sports betting took off. But you're going to start to see, I think, next year, a few more states kind of trickle into this. On top of Maine, you had Illinois kind of talk about it. Governor J.B. Pritzker pitched it as an idea to help cut down the budget deficit. Of course, we've got a weird tax fallout there.
Newswire. Only on SportsGrid.
Obviously, he didn't do great in the last two majors, and we're going home here. We're going to Northern Ireland, Royal Portage. This is Rory's the reason why we're going here. Got off to a rough start, throwing his tee shot out of bounds back in 2019. I think he'll be ready. Not yet ready to call him the winner. I still have a couple of days before I do that, but it is a home game for him. And as you saw, based on this weekend, he is playing well.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
His run in Salt Lake is over, but obviously the intimidation of a guy that's been around that long in Gundy and in this guy, if you look at their cases, they're very similar. It's been going on forever, right? And it's time for a change, I think, in Stillwater and in Salt Lake. I got to be honest with you. And believe me, if they lose again, they're going to get rid of him.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
No superstar wants to go to Portland there. So you go, oh, well, Dame actually wants to be back here, and this is going to hurt us. It sort of brings back those vibes where Kobe Bryant was in L.A. Great basketball player, horrendous basketball team, but maybe he could sell a couple extra seats and be a star in the building. That's Dame. And also from a perspective of what Dame wants, Dame just doesn't care about championships, and that's okay. Like, he makes a lot of money. He can do that and continue to lose in Portland. Can have it both ways, I guess.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Ain't no rest, DRS, around Major League Baseball on this Monday. Why do they need it? After an extended All-Star break last week, doesn't matter if you played this weekend, right back at it. A full slate Monday which is a rarity around Major League Baseball here as the second half now fully underway. Either teams have already played 100 of 162 regular season games this year, or they approach the century mark on this Monday. DRS, two teams that had a very strong showing in the first weekend post-All-Star break. The Mariners won the weekend at home against the Astros, cutting into Houston's lead atop the American League West. Nobody a stronger showing than that of the Brewers. They swept the Dodgers in the Ravine in Los Angeles. Milwaukee now tied with the Cubs for the best record in the NL Central and the best record in all of the National League. The Brew Crew and the M's square off this week in the Pacific Northwest. George Kirby gets the start today for Seattle. Brendan Woodruff on the other side for the Brew Crew. The Mariners a minus 130 home money line favorite. Over-under is 11. No way Milwaukee makes this 11 straight today in the Northwest, right?
Well, it's going to be tough. It is. George Kirby, analytics love him. He's fifth on the card today. He's got a 3.31 xFIP numbers. Last 60 days, been at 54 innings pitched here, and also a 10-game, started 10 games, 54 innings pitched there, and left with that 3.31 xFIP number, which is really good. But if you look at the last 30 days for George Kirby, 91 batters he's faced, Ben, here's what we like to look at. Strikeout rate, very good, 25%. Walk rate, very low, under 5%. ISO against, 0.48. Weighted on base percentage against, a 2.05. That is fantastic. But you know what we're starting to see now? And I joked about it before. Like, hey, everybody just knows Christian Yelich. If you just look at statistics over the past month in baseball against right-handed pitching, the Brewers are on absolute fire. Terang, great numbers. Yelich, great numbers. Vaughn, great numbers. Collins, great numbers. Durbin, Perkins, and Ortiz. Like, this is a lineup and doesn't strike out all that much. Now, the question's going to be, what are we getting out of Brandon Woodruff, who in the past, it's like, yeah, this is a guy you can count on. But we only have 38 batters this season that he's faced. His ISO against is a 237. His K rate is 47%. Now, granted, that's only 38 batters that he's faced, but 19 or so, give or take. Let's round up to 50%. That's incredible at this point here. And you look at the lineup, which sometimes leaves a lot to be desired. Probably leaning more towards an under in this spot here. But I got to tell you, you look at these two lineups, they have good numbers against right-handed pitching. But usually for me, I'm going to weigh the pitching weighs out over the actual results. But also, Woodruff, I'm not buying into just yet. Minus 130, I think there's a good chance that that streak gets broken tonight, and certainly George Kirby is going to be a big part of that. But I love what I see out of that Brewers lineup here over the past 30 days.
Yeah, Brandon Woodruff back for Milwaukee, which is a great sign for the first time in more than a year. Good to have him back in Milwaukee, of course. The hottest team in baseball, DRS, 10 straight wins, 59 and 40, tied for the top of the division in the National League Central alongside the Chicago Cubs. All right, elsewhere on this Monday slate, to Philadelphia we go. The Phils lost the weekend at home, DRS, against the Angels. Philadelphia is struggling. They are under 500 since the start of June. But one piece that is not bad for Philadelphia at this moment, of course, it is their ace in Zach Wheeler. He gets the start tonight for the Phils against the Boston Red Sox, minus 215 price on the Fightins at home, total 8.5. The Red Sox, entering the All-Star break, had won 10 consecutive, and then over the weekend, the Sox, in their first series, what did they do? They lost 2 of 3 against the Cubs, but avoided the sweep yesterday. DRS, what do you expect today? Should the Phils with Zach Wheeler be that strong of a home favorite?
I don't know if they should be that strong of a home favorite. It's not Zach Wheeler's fault here. And by the way, Walker Buehler stinks. You want the biggest pitching mismatch on the card today? You're getting it right now. Zach Wheeler, number 2 on my card. Walker Buehler all the way down like 32 on the card today, which is ridiculous. Because why? He's really struggled. Here's what I'm worried a little bit about. And sometimes when you come out of the All-Star break or before the All-Star break, you're not in your routine. Like Zach Wheeler has a longer rest. Usually you say to yourself, "Oh, that's fantastic." Like Zach Wheeler, one of the best pitchers in baseball with extra rest. Where do I sign up? That might be the case. But you know what we saw yesterday with Ranger Suarez on extra rest? He was horrendous yesterday against the Angels. Pitching location, arm slot off, walking batters left and right, which he never does against a good lineup, not a great lineup. He got smoked yesterday. So now I see Zach Wheeler, and the last thing I want to see is, well, Zach went 5 innings pitched and gave up 4 earned runs. Like, that's not Zach Wheeler. That's a good lineup today for the Red Sox that will face Zach Wheeler. I'm not saying that you can't take the Phillies, use them as a parlay piece. Walker Buehler stinks. But if I'm betting the Phillies today, it's Schwarber, Harper, and Castellanos for RBI. I want nothing to do with the minus 210 because it just might be one of those, Zach Wheeler had too much off and he just wasn't himself. You don't want to bet minus 210 with a pitcher that might be off.
Yeah, and DRS in that last start for Wheeler, 4 earned ahead of the All-Star break. Plenty more to come next.
Do you think that there's a possibility that we could be looking at DeBoer wondering if he's the long-term answer at coach for the Tide?
I'm starting to feel like Alabama, I can't believe I'm saying this, Craig, is a sleeper. Fourth easiest schedule in the SEC this year. Ryan Williams is back. I think the friendly, these early season games against Florida State and Wisconsin, that is friendly for Alabama.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Sick and tired of seeing tennis players fall to the ground in disbelief, they captured the Rubik's Cube here. It's take it easy. You won 6-love, 6-2, 6-3. I mean, it's not like it's dramatic. I did today, but I'm saying, I see that guys do that all the time, and women do that. It's relax. You won in straight sets. It was a foregone conclusion an hour ago. Stop pretending like it was a dramatic victory.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
You are going to bank on Luka Doncic, who is a phenomenal talent, but his defense has been questioned, his work ethic, his time has been questioned, and his conditioning has been questioned. Name me one time in his 23-year career that you've questioned one of those three things about LeBron James.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
Everybody also is going to know the name Yuri Perez next year because Yuri Perez, obviously in fantasy circles, is a guy that we've been excited about for a while. Burst onto the scene a couple years ago, was electric, was fantastic. Then Tommy John, and we've been waiting for him ever since. And, all of a sudden the last couple starts starting to look like the Yuri Perez that I know I was very excited about drafting going into this season. And he has been brilliant.
Fantasy Sports Today, only on SportsGrid.
A full slate Monday around Major League Baseball does not happen often after a weekend, so enjoy it on this Monday. But it is the second series post All-Star break, so no need for rest at this time. DRS Zach Wheeler gets the start today for Philadelphia. Had his worst start in more than a month. It is final one before the All-Star break. 4 earned given up against the Padres over 2 Saturdays ago. But Wheeler remains the minus money favorite to win National League Cy Young at minus 130. The guy that he is in a tightly contested head-to-head race against is Paul Skeens. Even money plus 100 price on Skeens. Is it Skeens Day? Is that 37? I'm not so great with my Roman numerals. What is it? 34. Skeens Day 34. No, it's not 44. That's not 44. He hasn't made 44 starts. Not a chance.
Why do we even have Roman numerals anyway? I mean, come on now.
Man, I've been saying the wrong Skeens Day for a while. By the way, it is Skeens Day today.
Skeens Day numeric numbers. What's wrong with that? Why do we have to have Roman numerals up here?
Yeah, maybe we should switch it now just so the hosts don't get confused in a time where hosts need to be looking at their absolute smartest as we're getting ready for football season. The Buccos, DRS, a slight home favorite despite at home this weekend. Paul Skeens did not pitch, but they were swept by the Chicago White Sox. The first sweep for the Sox this year. We just missed by a day. Tarek Skubal and Paul Skeens for a second consecutive time. They squared off in the All-Star game on Tuesday in Atlanta. Jack Flaherty, though, not a bad pitching matchup against Skeens and Pittsburgh. Total is 7. What's the play today inside PNC Park?
Yeah, Jack Flaherty, not a bad pitcher, Ben. Last 60 days, 54 innings pitch, a 3.84 xFIP number. So I just ask you this question where it's like, okay, usually in Major League Baseball, it's just about taking the better pitcher on the mound, and usually the better pitcher wins out against a solid hitting team. Detroit, one of the better teams in baseball, not playing their best on the season, as we've seen over the past week to week and a half throughout the All-Star break. But understand this. The expectations for Paul Skeens and a Pittsburgh victory are what, Ben? 8 innings pitched, 1 earned run? So if I'm not going to get 8 innings pitched out of Paul Skeens and 1 earned run or less, how do you bet the Pittsburgh Pirates at this point? Like, case in point, we just opened the second half of the season. The White Sox just ran right through the Pittsburgh Pirates. And you're right, Paul Skeens wasn't on the mound. But that's just the level of what are we getting on a day-to-day basis out of that lineup who just feels like it's O'Neill Cruz or nobody you can bet because nobody can get a base hit. So Flaherty gives you 6 2/3 innings pitched and 1 or 2 earned runs. Why would you not just take Detroit? Skeens can't pitch 13 innings in this game, if to catch my drift at this point. So I'll wait it out. First 5 innings, if you want to bet Skeens to beat Detroit, okay, I'll deal with that. But for a game, you can't take the Pittsburgh Pirates at this level. Minus money price. Well, Donnie, Skeens, one of the best pitchers in baseball. Well, if you're getting him 2 runs, you're still probably going to lose the baseball game. I can't take Pittsburgh. It's only Detroit for me at a slight dog price, even though the pitching match really slants towards Pittsburgh. They stink. The team just stinks.
DRS, in the last 4 starts that Paul Skeens has made, the Pirates have scored a total of 4 runs. And that's not all with Skeens when he has been out there in line for a win. In fact, the 3 starts that Skeens made in July prior to the All-Star break, 5 innings of work every time. He was scoreless in 2 of the 3, allowed 2 earned in his most recent on the road in Minneapolis. And the Pirates delivered him a total of 2 runs. They lost 2 of those 3 games. To Donnie's point, he can go out there and blank the Tigers in 7 innings, and then he gets out, and Flaherty kept Detroit in it by only allowing a single earned run, and there Detroit comes back for a victory. It is the story of Skeens this year, despite having the best ERA in baseball, a 2.01 mark. He is 4-8. Part of that is why we have liked Zach Wheeler in those high leverage spots, delivering for Philadelphia, who theoretically should be contending for an NL East divisional crown. They still in the top spot despite struggling here as of late. It is why you go with Wheeler and the Phils instead of Skeens and the Pirates. The White Sox pulled off their first road sweep since 2022 over the weekend in Pittsburgh, their first sweep of the year. Shohei Ohtani gets the start tonight at the Ravine for the Dodgers. They're a hefty favorite against the Minnesota Twins, minus 162. But LA DRS swept this weekend by the Milwaukee Brewers, not playing great baseball. They have dropped 10 of 12 games. They still maintain a 3.5 game lead in the National League West in front of the San Diego Padres, but it hasn't been the best brand of baseball. Total tonight, 8.5. Might Shohei Ohtani go more than 3 innings tonight against the Twins? That's one of the main questions.
Yeah, it's also the main question is who's coming in behind him. I think it's going to be, I'm listed as May. I want to say Dustin May, who has a 4.81 xFIP over the past 60 days through 49 2/3 innings pitched here. That's not very good. So, yes, Ohtani can hold you down for 3 innings, but after that, it's going to be up to May to do the same thing. Now, I don't like David Festa as a pitcher, quite frankly, either. You take a look at some of his statistics over the past 60 days, not all that great. But also, are we getting the best out of the lineup right now for the, Dodgers? Because if I look and say, well, Mookie Betts is really struggling, that doesn't help. Ohtani's phenomenal. He's going to be pitching, and maybe that takes away from his first couple of at-bats while he focuses on pitching. Let's just remove that. But Freddie Freeman got plunked with a pitch yesterday. He's probably not going to be in the lineup again today. So we look at a minus 190 price. If this was an Ohtani start, meaning 1 through 5 innings, I'd say, okay, you could deal with it. Everybody's going to bet the Dodgers at home eventually to turn that around. But Festa's not going through a murderer's row lineup right now. Like Pages is struggling, Kim's struggling, Edmonds struggling. There's a lot of struggling Dodgers here to still be placed at a minus 190. But most people will see Shohei Ohtani and say, I'll take that risk. But again, 3 innings out of Ohtani tonight is probably the expectation, which means there's going to be 6 innings left. I'll take the plus 160 price point. First 5 innings again, Dodgers? Maybe so. But Festa might be able to dance between those raindrops, as we like to say, because that's not a great lineup right now for the Dodgers.
It's not, DRS. You look up and down the lineup yesterday. There's names you never expected to see in a Dodgers uniform today. Could that be the finale on a Sunday? They were trying to avoid a sweep, and it was immediately after the All-Star break. Again, it's an interesting time for L.A. Still an incredibly short favorite to win a pennant and a World Series and still have the second-best record in the National League and a 3.5 game lead to win their division for a 13th time in the last 14 years. but it hasn't been overly pretty. Shohei Ohtani, 5 starts this year, 9 total innings. Oh, it's not a great sample size. He has only allowed a single earned run. He has a 1 ERA. It's not a ton of work, but he has been very good when he is out there. His last start on a Saturday before the All-Star break against the Giants. That outing, by the way, the Dodgers snapped a 7-game slide before the All-Star break, was the longest of the year for Ohtani. 3 innings, probably around 2 to 3 innings tonight, we would imagine. DRS, as we keep it going, let's stay in the National League West, head out to the desert. The Arizona Diamondbacks, a home favorite today against the Houston Astros, who lost the weekend against the Mariners. Houston, 24-8 since the start of June, entering the final week before the All-Star break. They lost 5 of 6, now 2 of 3 over the weekend. They have dropped 7 of their last 9 games. The D-backs, a sweep at home against the Cardinals. Can they continue that today? Booked as a favorite in downtown Phoenix. Total 8.5. What's the play between the D-backs and the Stros on this Monday evening?
Zach Allen hasn't been very good, but Colton Gordon's on the mound. You take a look at his 226 batters he's faced on the season, Ben. An ISO against 209, a weighted on base percentage of 359. Now, he's usually pretty good against left-handed batters, which, again, he's a left-handed pitcher, but not so good against right-handed batters. You have a lot of switch hitters in the lineup tonight for those Diamondbacks, but you take a look at the ISO power numbers over the past month against lefties. Ketel Marte, 318. Corbin Carroll, 250. Eugenio Suarez, 833. Naylor, 235. Grichuk, 435. Alec Thomas, 222. Let the bats eat tonight. I'm going to say that the Arizona Diamondbacks staying home after a team traveling on the road with Houston now, I'm going to give them the advantage tonight. Gallen hasn't been great, but I trust him more from Colton Gordon, and I'll lay it with the D-backs tonight. Why not?
Eugenio Suarez, DRS, as you mentioned, the guy that is probably the most rumored in terms of MLB trade deadline. It comes our way a week from Thursday. 4 home runs in the last 2 games. Second consecutive multi-home run yesterday against the St. Louis Cardinals. Again, he has been really good for the D-backs with the sweep of St. Louis. Now back to an even 500 at the 100-game mark. 50-50. More from the Bigs on this Monday and some football. The TV Tom next.
Online casino expansion in the U.S. is extremely slow, a lot slower than I think we all would have thought, 5 years ago as sports betting took off. But you're going to start to see, I think, next year, a few more states kind of trickle into this. On top of Maine, you had Illinois kind of talk about it. Governor J.B. Pritzker pitched it as an idea to help cut down the budget deficit. Of course, we've got a weird tax fallout there.
Newswire. Only on SportsGrid.
Obviously, he didn't do great in the last 2 majors, and we're going home here. We're going to Northern Ireland, Royal Portage. Rory's the reason why we're going here. Got off to a rough start, throwing his tee shot out of bounds back in 2019. I think he'll be ready. Not yet ready to call him the winner. I still have a couple of days before I do that, but it is a home game for him. And as you saw, based on this weekend, he is playing well.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
His run in Salt Lake is over, but obviously the intimidation of a guy that's been around that long in Gundy and in this guy, if you look at their cases, they're very similar. It's been going on forever, right? And it's time for a change, I think, in Stillwater and in Salt Lake. I got to be honest with you. And believe me, if they lose again, they're going to get rid of him.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
No superstar wants to go to Portland there, so you go, oh, well, Dame actually wants to be back here, and this is going to hurt us. It sort of brings back those vibes where Kobe Bryant was in L.A. Great basketball player, horrendous basketball team, but maybe he could sell a couple extra seats and be a star in the building. That's Dame. And also from a perspective of what Dame wants, Dame just doesn't care about championships, and that's okay. Like, he makes a lot of money. He can do that and continue to lose in Portland. Can have it both ways, I guess.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Live right here on this Monday on the early line on SportsGrid. It is time now to start off your week with TV Tom Vecchio of SportsGrid, providing that prop perspective. Why did you do that, DRS?
I thought it sounded like you were forgetting his
sound?
name at point. Yeah, I thought it like who's on our guest right now? Like that's what it sounded like. A little brain freeze right there. Tough morning for Ben today, Tom. By the way, on the show.
Say Pat Fryermuth 10 times fast, DRS, and we'll talk about tough mornings. I would just say I always say TV Tom Vecchio of SportsGrid. It's kind of my thing, my intro for him. I'm glad that the guy that you work with, probably second most behind me, you remember all the colloquial jokes that we have. Tom, focus on you, my friend. Thanks for being here on this Monday. Glad to have you here on TEL.
Yeah, I am certainly ready to go. We can get into some wide receiver topics across the NFL. We'll get to some baseball. I don't have like a funny joke or a one-liner to say. I'm ready to go.
Wow, business.
All right,
business.
Let's dive right in. Vecchio, a lot of conversation here in the later stages of the NFL offseason. Some teams have reported for training camp 30 of 32 by the end of the day tomorrow, all 32 by the end of Wednesday, around the top 10 QB list. That's how you fill the offseason, right? You need some debate. You need some conjecture. You need some conversation. How about the top 10 wide receiver list that came out late last week? Number 1, Jamar Chase. Number 2, Justin Jefferson, Tyreek Hill, CeeDee Lamb, A.J. Brown, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Malik Neighbors, Nico Collins, Mike Evans, and Garrett Wilson. That is the order as voted on, Vecchio, by NFL coaches, executives, and scouts. Tom, you said in a break on Friday when we had you on to end out last week on the early line, you guys seen this wide receiver list? It absolutely stinks. Where did you have the biggest issue?
So most of the players, I agree, should absolutely be on that list. It comes down to, ordering and some of the notes that they put with this list overall. One, Garrett Wilson shouldn't be there. I think he should be in that honorable mention category, and we should have Puka Nacua in that area. Tyreek Hill, a little bit too high for my liking. St. Brown, the lowest ranking on St. Brown on this execs list is unranked. That is, again, as I said last week with Hurts, that is an unacceptable. This is unforgivable. What is he? He's played literally nearly every single game since he's entered the NFL. 4 straight years of 90-plus receptions. 3 straight years of over 100 receptions. 3 straight years of 1,100 yards or more. And I know people like to call, he's a slot merchant. Who cares? He's picking up yards and he's picking up first downs, like the most important thing to move the offense down the field. So I'm okay with the list overall, but showing that St. Brown is unranked, saying that A.J. Brown is unranked as their lowest, what are we doing here?
By the way, let me ask you a quick question, too, because I do like Malik Neighbors. He had a really good rookie season.
Absolutely.
But I don't think Neighbors should be up at number 7. One of my biggest gripes was Brian Thomas Jr. I thought was phenomenal last year, getting left off that list. But I like where we went right to Garrett Wilson, because I like Garrett Wilson. But is he just getting the nod because he has more years than a couple of the younger guys? Like Puka Nacua not being on this list when Puka's healthy, you can't stop that guy, Tom.
Right. And listen, we can make a lot of cases for Garrett Wilson. Listen, every year has been in the league, 1,000+ receiving yards, and he's done so with bottom of the barrel QBs. So he is producing in spite of what the Jets. So there's absolute reason for him to be there, but Puka Nacua, I think, deserves just that step ahead. So Garrett Wilson, again, the same thing I said about Jaden Daniels last week, Ben, is next year, could we be having this conversation? Next year, do we see maybe Mike Evans take a step back? I don't think so. He's literally the definition of consistency. Do we see Brian Thomas jump ahead of someone? All those things are in play. Garrett Wilson deserves mention as in the honorable mention. I just don't think he's on that top 10 right now.
Quickly, Vecchio, we're going to get to our top 10 QB lists and who you agree with most. If I asked you best receiver in the NFL, Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson, who do you give the nod?
Chase. It's like a 1A, 1B, though.
Yeah, we basically said the same between DRS and myself, and in our Fade the Public poll. You want to say one over the other? Great. I think they're 1 and 1A, 1 and 2, and a clear separation atop the list. All right, top 10 QB lists. That's really been the buzzworthy conversation, Vecchio. Here is mine. Donnie, do you want to read yours, or would you rather me just read yours for you because they're pretty similar, and then ask Tom who he likes the most? Yeah,
they didn't drop down my top 10 list, so I don't know what it is. So please read mine for me again.
Goodness gracious. All right, so here is mine, Vecchio, as it looks. DRS and I have the same exact top 5 in the same exact order.
Yes.
Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow, and Jalen Hurts. In mine, I have Jared Goff, Matthew Stafford, Justin Herbert, Jaden Daniels, and Dak Prescott. Donnie's bottom 5, Justin Herbert, Jared Goff, Baker Mayfield, Jaden Daniels, and Matthew Stafford. Of the top 10s, pretty similar, Vecchio, between Donnie and myself. Whose do you agree with most?
I really don't. I'll put it like this. I don't have an issue with either one. I'll put it like that. I don't mind seeing Baker on that list. You know, the Herbert thing, again, I think it should be there in terms of talent, but you know, Stafford, do we give him the pedigree because he's won slightly ahead of Herbert? Do we give, again, Goff the pedigree in the playoffs? Yeah, he's never gotten to a Super Bowl, but he's at least won games in the playoffs, what it really comes down to. So Herbert, a touch too high for me. But again, as I said last week, from a talent perspective, he absolutely should be there. I think, again, no issues with them overall. Give me Baker and Goff and maybe Stafford slightly ahead of Herbert still.
There you go. All right, I like it. That's what I'm going to say. That's the follow-up right there. We love it. We like it. We love it. We want more of it. That's it.
Yeah,
man. Monday.
No disagreement.
You want to ask Tom what he thinks about the Eagles Super Bowl ring? You're fresh out of topics?
How about that, Tom? Come on.
I mean, it like the little things come out on the front, like that's cool enough. Like,
they're not things, they're wings. They're wings, Tom. They're
wings, okay, yes, wings. Wings coming out on the. I'm not getting worked up over because I'm not an Eagles fan, but I do think they're cool.
Yeah, see that? Winners. This is what we do. Monday show. Fantastic.
Why don't we just let you take off here, my friend, and go host Moneyline, right? Like, it's basically what you did in this segment anyway. So, like,
what a show. Some are saying maybe the best show on the new era of the TEL started today. It's fantastic. The vibes have never been higher, and I love Tom's on. I love Ben's on. We're going to do it again tomorrow. How about that? Before I head off and fade away into the radio.
Oh, well, he's got to do that now every day. Peace, DRS. More on the early line next.
Later. Later.
I showed you the Heisman odds a week or two ago, and they had Garrett Nussmeier as the second favorite behind Manning. So Brian Kelly's very excited to have Garrett back at school.
He is no athlete, in my opinion. You can quote me on that. Like, he is a clumsy white dude, and he sucked. I'm being nice now. Now all of a sudden you're talking about him being great? Oh, slow down there, coach.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
Devin Booker, do you know, in those 2 years, actually makes more in his salary than the entire Miami Marlins payroll this year, which I think is at like $62 million. That's a 72.5. I'm just doing the math really quickly. So one guy's worth more than 25, but we know how bad the Miami Marlins is. But hey, I just talk hoops.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
No superstar wants to go to Portland there, so you go, oh, well, Dame actually wants to be back here, and this is going to hurt us. It sort of brings back those vibes where Kobe Bryant was in L.A. Great basketball player, horrendous basketball team, but maybe he could sell a couple extra seats and be a star in the building. That's Dame. And also from a perspective of what Dame wants, Dame just doesn't care about championships, and that's okay. Like, he makes a lot of money. He can do that and continue to lose in Portland. Can have it both ways, I guess.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Really would love to know what Jawan Jennings is after. If I were San Francisco, I'd hate to lose him. Not that I think he's ever going to be their best receiver on this football team, but you have a lot of question marks, right? We don't know how good Ricky Pearsall is yet.
We are asking, like, if Ayuk comes back and is healthy, if McCaffrey can be healthy, all these things. So why not just take the thing that you know works and just keep it?
Game time decisions, only on SportsGrid.
A full Monday slate around Major League Baseball, so let's deliver that prop perspective from TV Tom Vecchio of SportsGrid. No, I do not forget his name, despite what my co-host forgot to ask a question might try to say. All right, Vecchio, let's break things down as we look at this Monday slate. Critical midweek set about to begin tonight in the Great White North in Toronto. It's the Blue Jays and the Yankees. The Blue Jays continue their stellar play with a sweep of the San Francisco Giants, in the first weekend post-All-Star break. Now they have opened up a 3-game lead in front of the New York Yankees once again in the American League East. But the Yanks on the road today in Toronto, a road favorite with Carlos Rodon getting the start. Kevin Gausman on the other side for Toronto. 8.5 is that total. What do you like tonight between the Jays and the Yanks?
Honestly, at this point, I don't know how we're not taking plus money with the Blue Jays. Like, if you just go into this, frankly, this game should be a pick-em. Like, and obviously, that's not like a massive difference from where the line currently is. And we can obviously see the line move as the day goes on. But we have a team that's super hot. Yeah, you could say the pitching matchup is slightly in favor of the Yankees with Rodon. The Yankees have historically gotten to Gausman. But we have a team that's super hot. It's like, why don't we just take plus money every time that we get with a team like this? So will the public continue to bet on the Yankees? Probably. But if that line's just going to be pushed that way, I'll just take plus money. If we get plus money from the Blue Jays in this entire series, you just need to come out with, what is this? Is this series 4 or 3 games? I honestly don't know. But you just need to come out with 2 of the 3. Get them at plus money. It's a 3-game series. Listen, and if you can bet them, and then if they get out to a lead, you can take the Yankees in-game at a plus money price. You have both sides at plus money.
Big week for the Blue Jays, Tom. 3 games at home against the Yankees. And then they head right away on Thursday for a road trip to Detroit for a 4-game extended weekend set against the Tigers. The Blue Jays could hold off the Yanks or build up that lead in the American League East. By the time they face Detroit this weekend in Motown, could be contesting with the Tigers for the best record in the American League. The Jays right now have a 3-game advantage atop the American League East. Vecchio, you said, why not just take the plus money with the Blue Jays? When do we start to hit the plus money on the Jays to win the actual division?
At this point, I frankly think that ship has sailed. Where the plus 135 odds, yes, it's decent plus money, but where they were prior to this hot streak at 10 to 1, 12 to 1, whatever it might have been. Again, I still think the play would be to make a play on the Blue Jays, a longer term ALCS type of play. Blue Jays to face the Tigers in the ALCS because you are banking on them winning the division. Therefore, they have home field to a certain extent. They may not have home field versus the Tigers at that point, but there's a longer term play to be made rather than just plus 135. Because essentially, you're going to get plus 135 tonight, in theory, or close to it.
Right. Really good point as well, despite that 3-game differential in favor of Toronto. These two teams played over the weekend, the Blue Jays at home sweeping the Giants. The Braves played the Yankees at home, lost 2 of 3. Atlanta's 12 games sub 500. The Giants playing some bad baseball on either side now of the All-Star break. They face off this week in Atlanta. What do you like, Vecchio, for the opener tonight at Truist Park between the Braves and the Giants?
I think the Braves aren't worth laying money on. They have at no point in the season have they proven to be worth laying money on, yet they continue to be a favorite. So I think the series is essentially somewhat of the same, but it's a little bit of different circumstance. Like, listen, neither team is playing well right now. Just take the plus money. Like, I don't want to lay money on Bryce Elder because he's not a good pitcher. I don't think Hayden Birdsong is a good pitcher as well, but I'd rather just take plus money where I can get it, especially at this point in the season when we're about a week and a half so from the trade deadline. Teams are going to be changing things. If we see watered down lineups with Marcell Ozuna not in lineup for the Braves, just give me some money, plus money where you can get it.
It is crazy, Vecchio. We all know the preseason expectation for Atlanta, but now at 43 and 55, that's 98 total games. 76 of the 98. The Braves have remained a favorite as they are tonight based on what we are expecting to see inside Truist Park. All right, Vecchio, what are your other plays for this Monday from the prop perspective on a full slate around the Bigs?
Yeah, so let's turn to Mets hosting the Angels. Senga's on the mound for the Mets. He had, 67 pitches in his first start off the IL prior to the All-Star break, 67. So with this time off, I'm expecting him to be at that 75-ish to 80 mark. So like I'm over 5.5 strikeouts. The Angels have the second highest strikeout rate versus right-handed pitching. Certainly like that. And let's turn to Tigers, Pirates under. Obviously, with Skeens on the mound, we're always going to be looking at unders. But the Tigers' offense has not been playing well right now. They're simply not scoring. And I do think they will turn things around. It's just not going to happen tonight versus Skeens.
It's not Tarek Skubal, who was brilliant last night for Detroit in Arlington, but Jack Flaherty, not a bad pitching counterpart for Paul Skeens in that pitcher's duel today, expected inside PNC Park. Vecchio, thank you as always. That does it for us on this Monday on the Early Line. Show's back tomorrow, 8 a.m. Eastern on the Grid.